Hey guys, I wanted to make a quick video on why thumbsticks give you a big advantage in Apex Legends for console. I'm going to do that by using the PC version, and I'm going to use a mouse for demonstration. So as you can see with the mouse, if I aim down sights and I simply just try to do a 360, I could do that, pretty controlled pretty quickly. If I don't care about control, I can obviously spin 540, 360 very quickly. I can't do the same thing with a controller. The range of motion is just too small. As you can see from my mouse, I can move from left to right of the controller and my view changes a lot. With the controller, I'm limited to just the joystick. So essentially from here to here, really left to right, this is less than an inch of movement. So when you try to change your settings, even to something like, let's say, insane sensitivity, on both, when you aim down sights, you still can't spin around nearly as quick. On top of that, you lose a lot of the sensitivity for tracking. If you go with a very high sensitivity, you're going to have a hard time following your target because every little nudge is going to push your controller way out of proportion. If your sensitivity is too low, then you're going to have a hard time tracking high momentum character movements. For example, if someone is taking a jump pad and you need to track them out of the air, you're gonna have a hard time doing that with a low sensitivity. Normally I play with a 4 ADS, so out of the air that's really tough to do. Same with the gravity lift or a grapple from a Pathfinder or a zip line, or if someone just jumps down from high ground to low ground, you can't track them fast enough if they fall with gravity. You need, in my opinion, at least a 6 if you want to go from high to low on the speed of gravity in Apex. The problem is when you have a 6 sensitivity with the controller, it is really tough to make these micro adjustments. One thing that you can do is obviously you change your look dead zone to none, your movement dead zone to small. So if you have a none look dead zone, then every little touch will help you adjust every small little touch, but it's hard to control on a regular controller, and that's where having a thumbstick comes in handy. So if this screwdriver was actually how far out of range of motion you can go, now your range of motion is the entire controller. Now you can actually control much better. Not that the joystick would change, the physical movement would still be about less than an inch, but your control of the finer movements are much easier because you can make these small little changes here akin to a mouse making small fine adjustments, and it would read up every little small movement. Now, obviously this is not realistic because see how long this is, you're never going to get your thumb around the controller, but if you added something smaller like a thumbstick, this roughly raises your height, not nearly by that degree of the screwdriver, but by about maybe half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. So you add that to the already height of the controller. And now it's a little bit easier to control these small movements. Basically, the more height you adjust for, the easier it is to control very small movements. It's important that if you do choose to get a thumbstick, you make sure your look dead zone is off, and you also make sure you don't have any controller drift because that's going to impact small movements in your controller input. So to me, this feels like it makes it slightly closer to a mouse. If you really want to amp up the height of which you make small adjustments, you can take the left thumbstick and you could just tape it to the right thumbstick using Scotch tape or glue, and now you can just keep raising this height. So you can just keep raising this height so your thumb does much less work. It's a lot easier where I'm basically using the weight of my thumb to make small movements. I'm not actively using a lot of my thumb muscle. Whereas if I try to make small adjustments on the left side, it feels a lot harder to make these movements. So movement control is critical for a thumbstick. And I mean, if you really wanted to go ham, you could tape probably like 4 different thumbsticks on this and make it really big. Now, the one downfall I've noticed when using thumbsticks is despite the availability of increased sensitivity and increased accuracy in my aiming, the problem is I notice myself hitting this thumbstick when I'm trying to reach one of my face buttons. and my map key and my inventory key. So a lot of times when I'm trying to, let's say, reload or grab an item, I'll brush up against this thumbstick and then I'm looking up in the sky. We don't want that. So one way to kind of counterbalance that is if you want the map, use your left thumb. And if you want any of these keys, use a controller that has paddles in the back. So in this case, I have an aim controller. It's cheaper than a SCUF, but it is over $100. You can also get the strike pad. The strike pad though is only 2 paddles. There may be aftermarket solutions for 4 paddles, and I believe that the strike pack does have a 4-button eliminator that has buttons. I like the paddles better, so the aim controller is perfect, but it is a little bit more expensive. Regardless, it's one easy solution to accessing your face buttons of cross, square, triangle, circle without having to actually hit them, because you're increasing the distance between your thumb and these face buttons. Other than that, I would say thumbsticks do give you a bit of an advantage. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, after trying the thumbstick out for about 2 weeks now, you're able to easily make these small movements and you have no thumb fatigue whatsoever. I don't have any specific brand loyalty to a thumbstick. I would say these thumbsticks are pretty good by Control Freaks. It's their Galaxy brand. I don't know if other brands work, but theoretically all you need to do is raise the height of the joystick on your aim and the movement if you so choose, and really that's going to give you the advantage. It's basically giving you closer to the range of motion of a mouse. So I'm actually curious if people do feel like thumbsticks are an unfair advantage similar to the strike pack. I wonder if people do think thumbsticks are a form of cheating, because obviously if you use a mouse on console, people are going to say that's not fair, that's cheating. But it gets you a little bit closer to a mouse. Not close enough, but it's in that step of a direction. So let me know if you guys think that this is maybe underhanded or a step in the wrong direction, or if it's all good. You know, it does do good for your aim because it increases the range of motion. It makes it way easier to control these little finite movements, and the paddles obviously circumvent the problem of hitting the face buttons.